Does everybody know what time it is?
Home Impodcast time!
That's right. Binford Tools is proud to present Home Improvement Podcast. My name is Adam. You all know my co-host, Jordan. Jordan, Season 5. We are here. 100 episodes in the book. Let's do it.
Yeah, it feels good to turn the page on Season 4 and the first 4 seasons, and now we're it's all downhill from here, right? You know?
Unfortunately, I suspect that you're right, just in terms of quality of the episodes we cover. Also, the ratings reflect that the show maybe goes downhill, but we'll get to that in a little bit. But how you doing today, pal?
I'm doing pretty well. How about you?
I'm doing real well.
Real well.
We talked a couple days ago. We did an episode on For Richer or Poorer, and I think our Patreon announcement will have dropped at this point, so people kind of know what we're doing, what we're up to with that.
I feel like we've really revamped ourselves. I feel a new energy right now with all those changes.
When you get to 100 episodes, it's time for a refresh. Like anything, it's good to try some new things, and we're going to be trying
Home and Podcast Reboot.
Well, yeah, that's available as well. It's I'm excited to be here talking Season 5, and I took a peek at what's to come this season, and we got some pretty good things ahead of us. So
I think it's going to be a fun year, and I want to be surprised.
Yeah, I don't share your enthusiasm for surprises, but
you hate surprises.
Well, I don't know. I like to have something to look forward to.
Okay, well, you've got some stuff to look forward to. Have you been doing anything handy around the house lately?
Well, that's an interesting question, Jordan.
I know you're a handy man.
No. Historically, I've not been, and this is not especially interesting. But it only
is it?
I only bring it up because we've spent so much time on this podcast talking about how we aren't especially handy, nor can we take on large projects. But over the last couple weeks, I've done some rehabbing of furniture, Jordan.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. What inspired this? What pieces of furniture? And are we going to have before and after pictures on the Twitter feed?
Well, I'll answer them in order. What inspired me? We have this. What would you even call it? I guess it's an end table that was gifted from a garage sale. Most things I have are from garage sales. My mom gave it to us, and we use it. And it didn't really look that good. It was kind of junky, but we just kept using it. So, as a personal challenge to myself, I just wanted to see, hey, can I, Adam Dietz, make this look better? And that was kind of my inspiration. Can I do this? This looks junky. Can I make it look better? And what was the second question?
Challenge accepted.
What was the second question? Sorry.
Well, I asked what type of furniture, so you kind of got that.
Yeah, it's an end table.
Did it turn out pretty well? And am I going to get to see pictures before?
You can see pictures of it. Yeah. So basically, let me get through this fast. I painted the. Once I post a picture, it'll make more sense. But I did a little seafoam green and dark gray combination.
Sounds
this is a
psychedelic.
Yeah, well, that's the aesthetic we're going for. And it looks a lot better. I'll post a picture. I didn't take before pictures, unfortunately, and I've kind of I felt bad about that since. After I did this and it was kind of successful, I moved on to a dresser I've had for 6 or 7 years, and I did some work on that as well. I painted it gray, did some blue shelves, and added some cacti as hardware. So.
Wow, I cannot wait to see these pictures.
Yeah, I think
is this a Patreon only exclusive? We gotta give the people what they want.
Yeah. Oh man, it's and that they would want that something fierce, wouldn't they? No, I don't know. It just seemed like something to try. I want trying new things.
Good for you, man.
Yeah,
I'm happy to hear that you've been working with your hands a little bit, and that it's been well and satisfying for you.
As a creative type, I like to Jordan. Let's talk a little about Season 5. What have we got in store?
All right, Season 5 of Home Improvement. We've got some information about ratings, and then we're going to do a little bit of a quiz to see if you can Well, let's see. We'll see how your '90s knowledge is. I know that we're millennials,
That we are.
but
That we are.
we might know some information about these TV shows, even though we were young when they were
We just might.
All right, so season 5. I guess to put it in perspective, we've got 26 more episodes. A lot, as always. So this ran September 95 to May to 96. It comes in the Nielsen ratings at number 7, so it's dropped a few spots. Initially it was 4, then 3, then 2, then back up to 3, and then down to 7.
Yeah, at its height, Home Improvement had a 20.4, and this season is at a 16.1. So viewership is declining.
It is declining. It's going to continue to decline, but that happens a lot with these sorts of things. I think I just saw an article about how Big Bang Theory is ending on its 12th season, and I thought that show's still around, huh?
Yeah.
That happens. Things kind of fizzle out and all that kind of stuff. So anyways, what I want to do now is I want you to tell me the 6 shows that are in front of Home Improvement in the Nielsen ratings of this season.
Okay, let's do a 3 strikes and you're out kind of system.
All right. Yeah, that's fine. We both like baseball.
Question that I have before.
Sure.
Now, is this television just as a broad category, or are these like half-hour comedies?
This is a broad category.
Okay, all right. So So we're talking 1995. Oh man. I'm going to guess first. Seinfeld.
Correct.
Okay, where's it rank?
Number 2.
Okay. Let me also say 1995. I was 5 years old. So.
A wee lad.
But yeah, I will say. I'm gonna guess Frasier.
Frasier's on the list, but number 11.
All right, that's one.
One strike, baby.
What were people watching in 1995? Oh, give me like NYPD Blue.
Can we say Foul Ball? Because that's number 10. You're close.
Oh, it's a strike. All right. I'm not doing
down to
great.
1. That was pretty quick.
Not doing great. Yeah,
Can I give you hints?
Yeah, go ahead.
Mrs. Chenandler Bong.
Oh, yeah, duh. Friends.
Yeah, number 3.
Okay, keep going. I like the hints better.
What about Boom?
Oh, Monday Night Football?
Yeah.
I would have never. That doesn't even seem like it should count.
Number 5.
Okay, all right.
I've never seen this show, but I know George Clooney was on it.
ER.
Yep, number 1.
Should have gotten that.
Number 1. These other 2 shows I've never seen nor heard of.
Okay. So no hints are coming.
How about I'll give you a hint that's kind of related to the title, but I don't think you're going to get it. So,
okay.
You know how New York City is the 5th girl on this show?
Yeah.
Well, the title of the show on this list is very related.
Okay, New York City. Okay. New York City is the 5th girl on this show. The show is Sex in the City. The title is related to Sex in the City. Caroline in the City?
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. Okay. That's correct. That's number 4.
I don't know what that is, but, I just...
How do you know that? Did you cheat?
No, I'm not cheating. I have a useless gift that involves the ability to somewhat remember obscure TV shows. What's the last one?
It is very useless.
It's useless. Yeah.
The last one, I don't know. It's the same title as Smart Guy, but with a different word instead of smart.
So it has guy in the title? Is that essentially what you're saying?
The blank guy.
Oh, okay. The blank guy. The blank guy. That's an adjective. It has to be that.
Does it?
No, maybe not. Well, for the sake of this being,
this was only on for 2 seasons,
and it was so popular.
Jonathan Silverman was
Keep going.
the star.
I don't know.
Ernest Borgnine was in it.
Wait a minute.
As the doorman.
The blank guy. Keep going. I'm really enjoying this.
I don't know the rest of the names on this list. Joey Slotnick.
Oh, okay. Tell me.
It is the single guy.
Yeah, I don't know that one, but that was fun. We should just do that every episode. I can't wait until season 6 when we do this again.
Yeah, so that is those are the shows that we're behind. It's sad that it fell behind
The single guy.
Fell behind the single guy.
That is a shame. I just gotta get some imagery for this. The single guy.
Well, the good news is that when we do this for 6, 7, and 8, we'll have more shows to guess from. I should
have just asked for hints from the get-go.
I mean, you did get 2 or 3.
Yeah.
It's pretty impressive.
The single guy.
You're going to be talking about the single guy for the rest of the day.
Bizarre. Okay. All right. Well, that's not. This isn't a single guy podcast yet. We're here to talk about home improvement, so let's get into it.
That would be a shorter run, wouldn't it?
It would be fantastic. Yeah.
All right. So we're going to open season 5 with episode 101 for us, called "A Tailor Runs Through It."
It's playing on a river runs through it, which is a movie I have not seen.
I have not. Brad Pitt fly fishes?
Yeah, exactly. I was confusing it with a Meryl Streep movie. I think it's The River Runs Wild. A lot of river movies in the early 90s, Jordan.
There was kind of a river craze in the same way that there was an Amish craze.
Yeah, right. Well, you won't understand that joke unless you subscribe to our Patreon. So,
well, the good news is, if you want to know
what that's all about, pay us $5.
The good news about that is, it's going to be part of the preview that we play.
Oh, good choice. Yeah,
the 2-minute preview.
Yeah, the early '90s were a river era. I mean, unfortunately, River Phoenix did pass away in the early '90s, so there was a lot of river stuff in the culture.
Homages, yeah, definitely. Yep. So this one was written by Bruce Ferber and Lloyd Garver. They're kind of a duo at this point. They last did A House Divided together. So,
I didn't like that one.
Well, I mean, if we had a nickel for every time you did that.
Yeah, it's true.
Aired on September 19th, 1995. There's quite a few plot keywords. I don't know that any of them are particularly interesting. I clicked on one and it
was Ant-Man.
Black Panther and Thor Ragnarok came up.
Great.
It was like cousins. So I'm like,
it's
okay,
it's almost like it's a rigged system.
We're out on this. So with that, we can move on to our alternative titles, and I have 4.
I only have 3.
Oh, I get to go first.
Yeah, I couldn't. I don't know. It wasn't working for me this week.
That's all right. So this first one, it just is a feeling that I had after watching this, and it was pure Michigan.
That's a good one. All right. I'll do one similar. It was summertime in northern Michigan. Even though it's actually the fall, presumably. But
well, close enough.
Yeah.
How about Poetic Justice?
I could not come up with a poetry one for the life of me. That's good.
I took it.
Okay, next one. The Taylors Take Travers.
How about Traversing the City?
Good. Yeah, good one. My last one, it's going to be hard to say. Solemn Slalom.
All right.
Yeah.
I like it. My last one is Fun versus Family.
Yeah, that is save the worst for last, I guess.
Go out with a sputter.
Going out with a whimper. All right, man.
We're doing away with the synopsis because I think we all like a little bit of mystery.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and that's all we need to say about that. So let's go ahead and get into the walkthrough, of which we will tell you everything that happens. We're going to open at home. Jill comes home. We do learn that they're going to go to a wedding.
Pause!
Okay.
Mark's playing cards with the logo. Did you see it?
Who's going to win?
I saw the logo had a pair of aces in his hand, so I guess you gotta give it to the logo.
The sad news is that Brad and Randy were playing together at the table.
It's weird. Why? Let's deal Mark in so he doesn't have to play with the logo by himself.
I was trying to figure out what game they were playing because they have probably 10 cards in their hand. But
you know what I think they were doing?
What?
52 pickup.
Oh.
Classic.
That's what the logo is going to do.
Oh, man. I love that. I love that gag.
Great.
Oh, man.
Anyways, so there's a wedding for her cousin Lisa. Unfortunately, there will not be any other family members that we've seen before at this wedding. It would be a great opportunity to have the Colonel come back or that sister who only takes pictures.
Taylor, you're going fly fishing.
Tell me he would not have added to this episode.
Yeah, he'd have been great out there in the river.
Ugh,
I mean, it would make more sense to have him there than Wilson and Al. We'll get there, but that's about as shoehorned as this show's gotten.
The boys are not excited for this wedding. Their relatives are relatively boring, sounds like. But, they're going to Traverse City, so it should be a little bit fun. Tim comes home, and he is ready to have fun, not so much at the wedding, but at the lake. He's got fishing garb on. He's got, buggy boards. He's got all this other stuff. So his plans are clear.
And this is also where they mentioned that Al is going to Wilson's cabin, which happens to be very close to where the wedding is somehow, some way.
Wilson has a cabin everywhere.
Yeah, have we heard of Wilson's cabin before?
Well, I'm thinking of really early on when they went and they were, camping outside, and Tim was trying to work and camp at the same time. And Wilson showed up. I thought he had a cabin nearby.
Yeah, you're probably right. Well, anyways, it's kind of absurd, but I guess it doesn't really matter.
He probably also has...
I don't know that they really add anything,
Well,
they're just in one scene. Yeah, I don't know, whatever.
And there's not even any Wilson advice, really.
No, not at all. But,
he does briefly give advice for Al to, just take in the sights.
It's very brief, but if we were doing the Wilsometer, it would be 100 degrees. Next scene, we get some establishing shots of the car traveling along the road. And Jordan, you had to be thinking of Kubrick's The Shining when you saw this. I know you were.
My mouth was agape with just the similarities.
You were like, "Wow, man, Home Improvement ripping off Kubrick at the start of The Shining." It's the red. I don't know if it's Jill's car or whatever.
The Nomad, the rebuilt Nomad.
They are cruising through, and a lot of what I found online did indicate that this episode was shot in Michigan, so when we get to the specific scenes, I'll call out where they were. But
this is a 4-hour drive that they're going on right now.
It's a long drive. Yeah, it is a long drive. It's as if they've never been to Traverse City before, either.
They might not have.
I feel like if this show were accurate, a guy like Tim living in Detroit in the 90s that loves, nature and, is a man's man would actually have a cabin, don't you think?
I'm kind of wondering if Tim loves nature.
Maybe you're right. He acts like he does.
I don't know. Because he's not that great at nature, I feel
No, he's
like.
not. He's not, but I don't know. But, so after the Kubrickian establishing shots, we're at the hotel, and, most of this episode is Jill has to attend to her wedding responsibilities, and Tim is in a rush to, go out and enjoy himself on a vacation. So they're going to go fly fishing. Jill has to prepare a poem.
You know what I noticed in this episode in general?
Yeah.
There's just a lot of different outfit changes and a little bit more casual stuff that Tim and other people are wearing. So I just noticed the outfits a little bit more. Mm-hmm. And nothing says 90s dad more like Tim's pleated shorts that he's wearing in this scene.
I didn't notice them, but I do have some wardrobe notes later on. So I guess I'll say those. But yeah, you're right. You're definitely right. It's this is kind of related, but also not related.
Oh, good.
This didn't really feel like a Home Improvement episode to me.
It was something very different from what we're used to, and spoiler, yeah. I liked it.
Okay, all right. Well, we better not say much more.
Mm-hmm. Tim is rushing everyone along.
Yeah, Uncle Tubby's daughter comes in.
Bonnie, baby.
Yeah, why? I don't know.
She's she's putting together a cocktail party for everyone who arrived early.
Guess what? Her name is Bonnie in real life. Bonnie Hellman. And she's best known for...
Of the mayonnaise?
Jordan, she's in Friday the 13th, the final chapter.
Everybody is in Friday the 13th.
Oh my God. This is great. She was also in Two Broke Girls. A terrible, terrible show. Internet famous, and she was in something called Nurse. And
I'm kind of shocked.
Oh, she's in Glow. She's in Glow this year, so she's still doing things. But
Bonnie.
Bonnie playing Bonnie. Bonnie on Bonnie, a retrospective.
Jeez. Bonnie is kind of one of those people that is just very peppy, very excited.
Yeah, she's annoying.
Adam would have kicked her in the face.
I wouldn't have opened the door for her. So, I guess the door's open. I don't know.
Well, Tim is trying to get out of this, and Jill says, "No, we'll be there. Don't worry." So it's a race against time for Tim.
Bonnie says she just put together a cocktail party.
Yeah.
How's that work?
I don't know. Bonnie's resourceful.
Yeah, she just put one together. Just one of those things.
Yeah, it's like I said, a race against time. This is basically Speed. You know
what? Speed. That is an apt comparison. Yeah.
Is it?
I think it's a good comparison. This is, of all the Home Improvement episodes we've covered, this one is the most like Speed.
Yeah. Well, no, the one that was most like Speed was maybe when Tim and Bob Vila were racing.
No, this one's closer.
Right.
We cut to the river, Jordan.
Out in the river, baby.
This river scene was filmed in Leelanau.
Never been myself.
According to the internet, Tim had a house around there, and that was one of the reasons they chose to film it there.
It's beautiful.
It looked nice, yeah.
I would go fly fishing.
But have you ever gone fly fishing?
I have not.
Me neither.
Regular fishing, that's where we draw the line.
That's it. That's about as much effort as I want to put in.
I was wondering, is this the first time that Al and Wilson have ever hung out by themselves?
Okay, let me think about this. Well, Al has gotten advice from Wilson before.
Yeah. But it wasn't a hangout sesh.
That's not really a hangout sesh. Like, they're implying that maybe like Wilson and Al even drove up together.
Yeah, I think they're
That's a car ride I'd like to sit in on.
Oh, yeah. We didn't get enough of that kind of conversation, but we do hear a little bit about Al. You know, he's enjoying nature, getting away from the domineering mother who won't let him grow up. So I imagine it had a lot to do with that.
Probably therapeutic for Al and kind of awful for Wilson.
It explains why Wilson kind of shuts it down right away in this scene.
He does. Wilson and Al are having a tranquil time. The Taylors arrive and that tranquility quickly ends.
Yeah, they're rushing into the water.
They are, because they have like 53 minutes. This is a rush job of a vacation. I tell you what, I would not enjoy that.
Yeah,
I don't want to feel rushed.
It's this weird dichotomy of like you want to have fun, but you're forcing it into like these really small time frames. So are you really having fun? Because there's even times where Tim is like, you know, pulling his sons off the golf course or, you know, looking at his watch, and I don't know if that's really having fun, but Tim thinks so. There's also a great Al Bean joke in here that they try to pawn off.
Oh, that's great. I think that's great. Tim gets out there and he doesn't catch a fish within the first 7 minutes.
Yeah, he's not happy.
So he gets a little bit frustrated. I did like here how Al and Tim kind of have a back and forth, and Al mentioned that Tim isn't good at ice fishing either. And very rarely on this show do we get references to other episodes, so I like the reference to Real Men. Tim, he gets kind of angry. Eventually he like jumps into the water, which was
very strange.
Yeah, how deep is it? He appeared to go completely under.
I just don't know what so ideally he's trying to catch fish with his hands. Wilson says something about like it could take you hours to catch something out here, and
even
Randy catches something.
Experienced fishermen don't catch things all the time. Yeah, Randy quickly catches something. According to the internet, said that it was very obviously a fake fish. I didn't feel like it. I mean,
it looked like a dead fish.
Yeah, it just looked dead. But it was like in a goof section. I thought, well, I don't know if I would call it. It's not like obviously fake.
There's a reason why
show do things worse.
0 out of 7 people found that interesting.
That is true. Tim jumps underwater, tries to catch a fish that way.
Doesn't work out for him.
Doesn't work out for him, and I mean that's pretty much it for this time spent at the Leelanau River.
I did notice 2 things about Brad in this scene.
Pistons hat.
Awesome Pistons hat.
Yep. Saw that.
And his voice is starting to change a little bit in this scene.
Wow, they're gonna grow up right before our very eyes.
Yeah, they are.
Oh, man.
And I noticed that a couple different times in this episode.
Speaking of Brad growing up, did you see the thing I retweeted today?
No, but I can look right now.
You should look while I want to get your reaction while we're on
live.
Yeah.
All right, I'm pulling up the old Home and Podcast Twitter.
Yeah, check out the retweet there. It's pretty good.
This is a little early for the Twitter section, but
I know, but we gotta.
Oh boy. Is that him? Oh, it is him.
Yeah, he says it's him.
All right. Well, what we have here is Zachary Ty.
A failure to communicate.
Zachary Ty Bryan taking mirror images of himself after working out. It's
he's cutting weight, and he wants you to see it.
That's a little too saucy for my taste on Twitter.
It is a little bit sexual. Yeah, I don't know.
He's got a tattoo going up his ribcage.
Yeah, he's pretty slim. I don't know. You guys, listeners, you be the judge of what to do with that.
You'll find it on the Home and Podcast.
I had to share it. It's my responsibility.
Yeah, it is. I'm so glad you're keen on finding all sorts of people to tweet at who mention Home Improvement once and all that kind of stuff. So.
Hey, Jordan, content, baby. All right, next scene. What are we doing?
Tim and the boys, they rush from this 53-minute fishing excursion to the cocktail party. They're still in their fishing gear, but they got their 30 seconds to spare. It's a pretty fancy cocktail party, I guess.
Yeah, especially for one you just threw together.
Yeah, there's quite a few people there. I would say upwards of 25 people on this
Hey, you
deck.
want to hear something weird? More people at the cocktail party than the wedding.
Yeah, well, I mean, they just started inviting everyone at the hotel, I guess.
I guess so. My notes for this scene were not much. Those are the words I wrote, so apparently I didn't think very much of it.
Well, yeah, so the other two things happened. Tim smells bad because he didn't have time to shower. And Tim also catches Aunt Edna in a hug with a hook on his shirt. And her response to this is to hit him.
Yeah, well, that's one reaction.
That's a reaction. And that's what she goes for. We move on. Because
we move
other
on.
Than that,
and this is where the episode really heats up.
Oh, it takes off. It's 6 a.m. the next morning, or 5:55 if you're Tim. He can't sleep. He's so excited, and he's raring to go. He wakes up and smacks the alarm off at 6, and Jill's like, where are you going? She should know by now where he's going. And Tim and the boys start a montage of just enjoyment and fun in Traverse City, Michigan.
Yeah, and they use the very famous... I just looked up what it's called. It's called the William Tell Overture, but
Yes.
It's like that dun-dun-dun-dun. It's like that kind of music.
Yeah, so Tim and the boys are running on the sand dunes. They're riding some ATVs.
Sleeping Bear Dunes, in fact.
Yeah.
Per the internet.
I've been there once.
I have as well. This is a good PSA for Michigan and foreshadows Tim's relationship as the Pure Michigan sponsor.
Exactly, that's why I mentioned it. There's some ATVs. Mark is apparently on the dirt bike. I don't know why he got that.
I wonder if that was really him or not. Yeah, one thing to note, they're all running shirtless down the dunes. That was kind of
Except
strange.
for Randy.
Yeah.
And Randy also has sunglasses.
Oh, cool. ATV, we're cutting back to, like, Jill at the church.
They come in like
dirty.
This is the rehearsal, and they come in like very dirty with helmets and stuff. And
and then we're golfing. Mm-hmm. And Mark sinks Tim is like rushing everything. So Mark putts, and then like they have to walk away, and he sinks a really long putt. Reminds me of Space Jam.
It reminds you of what? I'm sorry.
Space Jam.
A little bit like Space Jam.
It's a lot like when Bugs holds that magnet up and he gets the ball.
Yeah, there was some severe breaks that Mark had to read for that.
there was definitely a string attached to that ball or something.
I think it was probably just graphics.
It was funny.
Then there's a little bit of tennis, which
does not fit in.
pastime of ours.
This doesn't have like one of these things is not like the other, and that is tennis. Like, as an activity in northern Michigan, that didn't really fit in my opinion.
Didn't fit in. I was surprised that they wouldn't be playing with each other, but perhaps maybe they were so bad and Tim was the only one who could.
I had to set up that ball gag.
So, he wants to get more bang for his buck. So they turn the machine from, I don't know, fast to ballistic is the setting.
As a former varsity tennis player in high school, I can tell you that this is not a real
There's no
level.
ballistic?
There's not. No, I'm sorry.
No. Well, that's too bad.
Yeah.
So, Tim struggles with, being attacked by a bunch of tennis balls. They go to Edna's party as well. She is taking her time blowing out the candles on her cake, so...
It's kind of funny.
So Tim helps her along. And then finally, in a hot air balloon...
I tell you what, I mean, they definitely saved the best for last, but, like, they're just living it up, man. I mean, like...
this looks really fun. Like, if you were doing all this stuff...
And they're really in it. I mean, or...
Oh, yeah, they're having a good time.
Yeah, it looks like they were really in a hot air balloon. I mean, maybe not, I know, obviously, some of it is fake, but, I mean...
Edna, the whole Edna gag is fake. She's not real.
Well, that's CGI, yeah. I'll tell you what, though, what I was thinking as I watched this episode was, I bet they had a lot of fun filming this.
I was thinking that as well.
It just looked like fun.
This episode just looks like a heck of a time. And I was also thinking, all of these problems would be solved if they just stayed for a couple extra days on vacation.
Yeah, definitely.
But that's not how... I mean, it wouldn't make a good episode.
And Jordan, the montage ends there.
Unfortunately.
And we're back to the hotel, and Jill is still struggling with her poem. And I didn't write down what the words were, but it was pretty bad. Something about morning dew.
She was going for very high concept type of stuff, and she's been working on it for a couple hours. I think she says.
Yeah,
she's got like one line.
She only got a line. Tim mentions that there's only 4 hours until the wedding, and Tim says they're gonna go water skiing.
There's plenty of time. This is exactly what we did the morning of my wedding.
Yeah, we all went water skiing.
There was plenty of time.
Yeah, lots of time. So Jill says that she kind of wants to go, and eventually Tim talks her into it, and they head out there on the lake. And the lake is, I did find out it's called Elk Lake, and it's a little bit north of Traverse City. And, hey, it looked like a great time.
Yeah, they're on the boat. We find out that Brad, or someone who looks like Brad, is a great skier.
Oh, man. I mean, the stunt double work in this scene is reminiscent of, like, Rodney Dangerfield in Back to School when he does the triple Lindy. That's about the worst you'll ever see. But it also was like Adam Scott in Step Brothers when he like pulls up his shirt and it's like the chiseled abs. Like especially with Tim. I mean, I guess maybe it's part of the joke. Like
I think everyone's in on this one.
Yeah, but like it's so bad. But
I don't think they're. I mean, this episode, I think they're going for a little bit of just hijinks, and this kind of fits in. So yeah, Tim is a professional, basically. He's doing like all these like tricks and stuff. Mm-hmm. As they dock, they make note that Jill was the only one who didn't get to ski, but apparently she was a great skier. And Tim says, you don't have it anymore, basically. And that's enough to light the fire for her to say, we're going back on this boat, and I'm going to start skiing.
Yeah, and then her stunt double goes out and does some skiing. And Tim, he notices some parasailing. I tell you what, this is a fun place that they're at. Everything fun exists there.
You better bring your money for all this stuff.
Yeah, you're right, yeah. Tim gets distracted, and why is there a ramp there? I mean, that's a question that I will never get answered.
I mean, there must be some people who are actually doing tricks and stuff on
guess
this
so.
lake.
But Jill goes up a ramp, comes down, and then we cut to the next scene, and she's hurt herself pretty bad.
Yeah, and they're, the boys are trying to prepare for the wedding. They're looking pretty nice. They're dappered up. Jill comes out, and her arm is in a sling. She's got a bandage on her nose. She's black and blue. She got tore up pretty bad by that elk lake. And her mood is pretty much pure rage, I would say.
Yeah.
Jill decides that she can't really go to the wedding like this. She looks, silly, and Tim tries to apologize and get her to go. He's kind of making light of it, as he typically does with this kind of stuff. And I guess eventually he gets her to dress and go, and it's time for Lisa's wedding. The
plot of this episode, like, we'll talk about it at the end, but
it's just a vehicle for...
It's pretty thin.
For fun, you know?
So we cut to the church, same church that they used for the Christmas episode where Brad stays home, and they do the Noel Leon thing. Did you notice that?
I didn't notice that.
Definitely, yeah. There's about 40 people there, if that. It's very, very small. I would say
there's probably like
25?
20 to 25.
It's really small. They probably hurt themselves on Elk Lake, so they couldn't come.
Yeah, everybody else bowed out. Everyone's staring at Jill as she walks in.
Which is kind of strange, I guess. Like, I don't know. It sort of defies reality. But, she ends up going to do her poem, and I don't know, things go poorly.
Well, she doesn't
from there.
want to. They, say it's time for her poem, and she's like, no, I'm not going to go up there.
Right.
Which is kind of strange.
She falls when she...
So here's what I thought was going to happen.
Yeah, okay.
When she says, I don't want to go up there, I thought
Tim was going to do it.
Go up there and do something that kind of redeemed himself.
This isn't for richer or poorer.
I know. But he did not. I mean, doesn't that seem like the turn it would take sometime?
It's considerably better than what happens.
Yeah, instead, Tim kind of rushes her up. She falls over, gets hurt more. She's a mess, starts to perform.
Comedy of errors.
Yeah. The mic hits her in the face when Tim brings it up to her face.
They say that she broke her nose twice. I mean, I don't know about that. But
that's bad news.
Yeah, bad news. It's a bad end to the vacation, I guess you could say.
Yeah, you could say.
I guess you could say that vacation ended poorly. So we're home. Home is where the heart is. Tim he's in deep trouble with Jill.
Deep trouble.
He needs to come up with an idea that will enable her to forgive him. And he never really does.
Well, that's not true.
Carry on.
So basically she goes up to bed and they're just not in a good good state of marriage right now. Next morning, we quickly move to next morning. Tim is falling asleep, and this is another one of those things where they talked about this situation earlier in the episode. They talked about how Tim talks about this specific boat that this guy has in the motor. Tony, of course. His boat while he sleeps, and then he wakes up from his dream and he's talking about that. So I kind of appreciated them setting that up a little bit
of
early.
a callback. Yeah. Here's one thing that I was thinking about, and that's TV shows, movies. People are always falling asleep in positions that I could never fall asleep in. Like, I don't think...
Like
I don't
against trees?
Against trees, exactly. Or just like at a table. Like, I've never fallen asleep at a table, nor could I, but I feel like on TV shows it happens all the time.
You know, it happens to my dad, but he's really drugged up, so...
Yeah, I'm just wasted most of the time.
Pain medication, of course.
Yeah, sure.
He does that here. I can't say that I've fallen asleep at the table. I've fallen asleep in, like, class before, I guess.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know.
I don't know. If there's food in front of me, I'm not falling asleep.
Hey, I'll tell you what, me neither.
So Jill comes down, and she wants to talk a little bit more about their feelings. Her feelings, of course. And Tim, he tried to write her a poem. It's kind of what you would expect from him. It's silly and sincere, and I guess this is what wins her over.
Jordan, I think we should play a clip of this.
Yeah, I think we should get the actual verbiage. So
let's do it.
That's 454. That's a boat. Supercharger roller rockers. Tony, hit it, Tony. Oh, it's there. That's 454. That's
Tim.
454.
Tim.
There's Tony, honey, hi. Boy, I was having a good dream.
What are you doing down here? You never came to bed.
I was afraid if I roll over, I'd finish you off. I really feel bad that you got all banged up this weekend.
Yeah, me too. It would have been nice to show up at the wedding without any hairline fractures.
You wouldn't have got hurt at all if I weren't so obsessed with having fun.
Well, I gotta admit, that's another thing that really made me mad. You guys got to have all the fun.
Well, look, I promise the next family wedding we go to, we'll all have no fun together.
Where's all this stuff?
Oh, well, I wrote you a little poem. Maybe you'd like to listen to it before you start laughing at me.
I'm sorry.
I was going to buy you jewelry and maybe some flowers. Instead, I stayed up till the wee morning hours. Thinking about how lucky I am. Boy, I'm hungry. I feel like ham. My selfishness I will try to conquer. I'm sorry I bopped you on your honker. I'll love you forever, even when you're old. If you don't like this poem, I've got the florist on hold.
very romantic, very sweet. A little bit, and just like a dash of silly, you know.
Mm-hmm. That's how I describe you, sweet with a dash of silly.
Yeah, that's on my LinkedIn headline.
Explains why you can't get a new job.
I know. Not that I'm looking. Outside, Randy is teaching his... Well, this is next scene, sorry.
Yeah, next scene, final scene.
Final scene, outside, Randy is teaching his dad how to fly fish before church Sunday morning. And...
have we ever heard that they go to church on Sundays?
Not really. It must be Easter or something. I don't know.
Easter in September.
That's... So Tim, tries after Randy teaches him. Jill comes out and is wondering what's going on. You can see what's going to happen here.
Yeah, definitely.
And this is probably what you were talking about earlier. A question, you wrote down stuff about clothes. But, the fly fishing rod or hook goes back. It catches her skirt and pulls it off.
Yeah, but she's got like an underskirt or something? I don't know.
Yes, she does.
Yeah, I guess that's a thing. Who knew? But,
I don't wear enough skirts to know.
Not nearly enough. I guess Home Improvement is not going to have her standing there in her underwear. That'd be an interesting way to start the 5th season.
They do like that blurred out image type of thing.
Oh man, that would be funny. And roll credits fade to black.
Pure Michigan, episode 101.
Yeah, baby. Highs and lows, Jordan.
Well, we should say that we're going to rename this section.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
So on Twitter, you tweeted out a link to our immensely popular T-shirts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you said the next person who buys a T-shirt, we will name a portion of the show after you. Turns out the person who bought it already had part of the show named after him. So back to back.
He's our benefactor. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
Everybody needs. We need a rich, kind of older guy to bankroll us, and that's what he is.
That's what he is. So we are renaming this A Nickel for Your Thoughts.
I like it. Yeah.
Yeah. So Adam, you can go first.
Okay, well, I will, even though I already asked you to. But, Jordan...
No, Adam, please, you go first.
All right, no, you. Okay. You know what, Jordan? I said this earlier, but this does not feel like a home improvement episode. I don't necessarily know what it feels like, but it's unlike anything we've ever seen tonally, with the number of different scenes that come. We've seen the montages before, but yeah, most of this episode was very, very unique. And, the first time I watched it, I kind of thought it was boring, but I was only half watching. But upon second watch and conversation, yeah, I think it's so different just in terms of a home improvement episode that I did ultimately enjoy it. There aren't a ton of funny lines, and like I said, the plot is kind of flimsy. But it was just sort of cool to see them doing all these things in Michigan. I mean, it's kind of as simple as
watching
that.
A YouTube couple that you really enjoy. They just
is
living the dream.
Is that a thing?
That's a very big thing.
Oh, I don't. Yeah, that's a whole different world than the one I live in. But yeah, I mean, it's just cool to have them in northern Michigan, and I like the montage, and it's very, very unique and an interesting start to the 5th season. In terms of lows, I mean, Alan Wilson being there is stupid, but it's also a sitcom, and those kind of things happen all the time.
Sure.
I guess I would say that the whole thing with Jill at the church when she gives her speech is maybe just a little bit too much. Did we necessarily need that scene, or could it have been dialed down, or could they have done what you suggested, where Tim goes up and does it for? That seemed a little bit silly, but yeah, it's a fun episode. Yeah, very, very different.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Very different. It's just good old fashioned fun. I did not expect it, I guess, which made it a little bit more fun. And when the episode really isn't taking itself seriously, I'm not necessarily going to take it that seriously. So all the the poetic struggle and all the stuff that was going on with Jill, I just whatever. You just say,
it's kind of just whatever.
It's very lighthearted.
It's filler too.
Yeah, it's filler. The only lows I can really think of is just the missed opportunity to have the Colonel in this one, but you can't get it all.
Oh, Taylor, what's the matter? You don't want to go in a hot air balloon with the Colonel?
Exactly.
Yeah, right?
If you put the Colonel in the hot air balloon, that's a whole nother
what's
level.
That? You're afraid to kick your in the front nine?
Yeah, what I wouldn't give to see him hitting tennis balls at Tim.
You know who's good at ballistic? The Colonel. All right, that's enough.
All right, so that was a nickel for our thoughts. And,
yeah, it's a cool it's cool. I don't know. It's a fun start to the season.
Yeah, there's so many seasons where there's 26 episodes, and so we'll get an episode that is very redundant or just not interesting. And this is kind of the opposite end. There's a lot of episodes, but this one's just kind of fun and different, and it's worth watching, I think.
Definitely,
so.
Yes.
And with that, we move on to the next part of our podcast named after our benefactor. So this is Sean's social media corner. You can reach out to us at thehomeinpodcast.com. We're going to be redoing the site soon, so just keep an eye out for that. You can find us on Twitter at HomeInPodcast, Facebook.com/HomeInPodcasts. And then obviously the biggest thing that we have is we're renovating our Patreon, the reward system and the tiers. So you heard a little bit about that in the special announcement. We're going to be doing the biggest thing is we're going to be doing a bonus monthly episode for patrons that support us for over $5 or more. We have already recorded the first one for September, and that's going to be for richer or poorer. And the next one we're going to do after that is Last Man Standing. So if you want to hear these special episodes and get a bunch of other stuff behind the scenes, like our scripts, our outtakes, all that good stuff, go to patreon.com/HomeInPodcast. And with that, Adam, I'm wondering what's going on Twitter besides Zachary Ty Bryan pictures.
Well, we already talked about that sexy shot. Jordan done changed the poll, and 59 total votes this week. This is a whole podcast record.
You almost killed the polls.
I was so close. I tell you what, man. I just tell you, I was surprised.
Just when you think you're out, they pull you back in.
Well, that's exactly right, Jordan. And speaking of pulling people in, this question related to who we should try to interview next. So, in a fictitious world where we have our pick of anybody we can interview.
They're all lined up, so we get to pick them.
But hey, the proof's in the poll, man. So, who should we try to interview next? 59 total votes. 10% said Debbie Dunning. That's not a huge surprise. 15% said Zachary Ty Bryan. 29% said Patricia Richardson. 46% said JTT himself, Jonathan Taylor Thomas.
All right, the bullseye's on you, JTT.
We got some responses. So, at HI Reunion said, "I know I should have voted JTT, but the chances are so remote. Zachary Ty Bryan is a top bloke. I'm sure you could interview. Don't be so sure." At Saginaw Cheese, Saginaw, hey. Zachary Ty Bryan was the oldest of the boys, so I feel that he'd have the most clear memory of things that happened. Also, with ties in the production game, making contact with him could potentially get access to the others, since he and the Karn man could attest that you're legit.
We are legit.
And then he got corrected by two people that said,
Randy.
Actually, JTT was older. Other than that...
And they pushed up their glasses.
And then they said, ooh. Yeah, lots of retweets and likes on the Carmen Finestra stuff, and people seem to enjoy that. So, follow us. And
these are really the glory days of Home and Podcast.
It's, you want to be here when we blow up. So get on the action.
Do it right now. Okay, with that, we're going to do something we haven't done in a long time.
Mm-hmm. What's that?
We're going to open the mailbag.
All right, let's open the mailbag.
You've got mail.
All right, in the mailbag this week, I have a very thick letter. Very, very, very thick. Written to us by a user named Arcane Jill. She wrote in what I can only call a comprehensive message, about 1,200 words. So I'm going to kind of condense this down.
It's longer than Mark's book.
I've got I've highlighted certain sections so that I can call them out. We're going to be doing a bonus episode on Patreon just about this letter.
It's essentially an abacus.
Yeah, pretty much. So, okay, basically the start of the...
It's a doozy.
It's a doozy.
You guys, it's a real doozy. So
the passion in this letter is why we do this show. It starts out... Sounds like Arcane Jill is early on in the run, at the time of this recording. So she has said...
I reserve the right to respond to each thing you bring up.
I know you will.
Okay.
She has listened to 12 episodes so far. So that was, before we got into the good stuff.
Probably don't give feedback on an episode when you're only 12 out of 100. Carry on.
Anyways, the first 12 episode wasn't what she was expecting. I would like to know what she was expecting.
Yeah, I don't know. You don't hear a lot of podcasts where the first 12 are better than the following, 87, but keep going.
The good news is that she keeps listening and she has some thoughts.
Okay.
So I've broken them out into likes and dislikes, or perceived likes and dislikes. So,
yeah, the likes weren't really that clear. The dislikes sure were.
So the first like is, I think she likes that we're millennials. I don't know. I think us being millennials is both a like for her and not a like. It's a dislike and a like. She likes it because we seem ignorant of the 90s, I guess.
That's a dislike, though, I think.
Yes, but she also laughs at that.
So she likes it because she can feel smarter than we are because we were young, but she dislikes it because we're idiots that don't understand the references of the era.
Correct.
Okay, makes sense to me. Yep, great.
The only other thing that I think she likes is the tidbits of trivia and facts that we give about guest stars as we're going through the show.
All right, let's move on to the dislikes.
All right, first thing that Arcane Jill does not appreciate is the uneven sound quality that we started out the show with. A lot of podcasts are polished when they come to their podcast feeds. They put themselves in the Apple Store or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Not us. We're kind of a little bit different. We wanted everyone to grow with us, and she did not appreciate that. So,
well, yeah, sorry.
And specifically, she did not like the DJ air horn that we use, so she probably didn't appreciate the start of this mailbag segment. But, you know, that's just kind of the brand for us.
You know what? Not going to be forever, buddy.
Anyways, the last thing that she does not like is when we talk about the Wilson clips after we play them.
Yeah.
She thinks it's a bit redundant, which I guess I can see. She does say she wonders if we don't actually listen to the Wilson clips. Not when we play them, but we do watch the episode twice. So
I mean, the entire podcast is redundant. You know, we're covering something that
we're
people have seen
starting
before.
on the ground where this podcast should not exist. So.
Jordan, you're very kind to have left out one of her early dislikes, which was my shrill voice. I noticed that you left that out, which means you're a good co-host and a
just
and a
like
good
Brad's
friend.
voice changes throughout this episode.
I mean, I've never heard shrill, or perhaps it was piercing. I don't know. I've never heard that with regards to my voice, but yeah, that was some helpful feedback for me moving forward. I'll definitely take that with me.
Voice acting lessons. So I just want to, at the very end, just a couple lines.
Read the last couple lines. Yeah, they're.
Well, she just, you know, after all that, I was a bit concerned that we had lost a fan.
I wasn't.
Well, you know, I'm worried about keeping everybody, and you're just kind of, you're unapologetic. So, and that is a word I just made up. So, anyways, Arcane Jill says, I will keep listening to your podcast because I am a big fan of Home Improvement, and I know that I can always get a laugh from your ignorance in the 90s and the premise of the show. As I listen to more episodes, you may hear from me again.
Oh, I hope so.
Something to look forward to. And,
fingers crossed.
So thank you, Arcane Jill, for that 1,200 words of wisdom.
Oh, man. Yeah. I mean, people have been enjoying our ignorance for years, so it's nothing
Why
new.
Stop now?
It's nothing new. Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. Yeah, it was an interesting piece of mail to receive. But, yeah, if you have things to say, positive,
negative,
I guess, reach out to us and we'll read them on the air.
We sure
and
will.
If you want proof of that, we read this on the air. So.
Yeah, we read both the positive and the negative. So, and with that, it is time for the question of the week.
Jordan, football season's right around the corner. We have our big fantasy draft coming up. By the time this episode releases, it'll have already passed. But, you know, usually we talk a little bit about the Lions as, you know, Home Improvement is a Detroit-based show. And, you know, we like to pretend that they were actually in Detroit. But what are you hoping for, expecting out of this year's Detroit Lions team?
Boy, I don't even really know. You know?
It is hard. Everyone seems to have everyone's kind of like 7-9, 8-8, 9-7, somewhere.
That's what they say every single year.
Yeah, and they usually kind of fall in that. I'm expecting 8-8, pretty mediocre. But you know, what do you think?
Yeah, you know, we got the new coach.
Yeah, I have real concerns about that.
I do too. I think when, you know, Jim Caldwell was fired, you and I both were kind of on the side of why.
Yeah.
Why did you do that? This is a guy who like brought semi-legitimacy to a Browns-like franchise,
right, yeah.
I guess I would say. And so we're going to toss him out. I don't know. It seems strange.
It seemed like people didn't like Jim Caldwell because they thought he was like too boring or something. And it's like, you know who's the most boring coach of all time? Bill Belichick. You know, he kind of also wins a lot. Yeah, that was bizarre because not a lot of Lions coaches have, you know, had winning records after, you know, 3 seasons. So, yeah, I mean, if I had to say, I'm, you know, obviously very excited as I always am. They have an 1,000-yard rusher in like 8 years or something. But I'm going to go ahead and predict 8-8, just like everybody else. I have no reason to think they have a tough schedule too, so I have no reason to think that they're going to be any better.
Yeah,
they very well could be worse.
Tough division. You know, we've got a better offensive line this year. Some more veterans, some young, promising draft picks, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I guess that's where I would put us. I don't really understand. Again, my biggest problem is like we're gonna hire this defensive coach who struggled all year.
Yeah, who wasn't even a good coordinator.
So that's
bizarre.
That's my problem.
I think people just like his backwards hat and his beard.
Well, that's
what's not to like.
And the pencil in his ear.
Oh man, pencil in the ear because pockets don't hold pencils.
So I hope they have a good year. We'll see.
Yeah.
I think like you, it's probably missing out on the playoffs this year.
Right.
But
Yeah, probably.
What are you gonna do?
What are you gonna do, Jordan? What are we gonna do next week?
Next week we're gonna be covering the first temptation of Tim.
Oh, man, wow.
Getting serious.
Biblical?
I don't know. We're gonna find out.
I hope so.
It's a direct continuation of that church scene that we got at the end of this episode.
Oh,
so.
good. That'll be great. All right, well, looking forward to it. Jordan, thank you for joining me. Listeners, thank you for listening, and take care, everybody.
Take care.